Here are the risks, benefits and recommendations relating to the channel mix. This part of the code of practice involves the channel managers, and the first thing they need to be doing is providing only useful channels, because if they don't, they could easily waste budget on channels that people simply aren't using. More insidiously though, there's always the risk of overwhelming employees with too much choice in terms of where to look for what they need. So some employees may not know where to look, waste time looking in the wrong place, and end up with less time to do their work. Or they may end up asking other people where to look, consuming that second person's time now and reducing the time they have to do their work. Or they may simply give up looking and decide to hazard a guess as to what they should be doing, so now they could be working without all the information they need. And if the channel managers fail to promote the channels effectively, or if the IC specialists use the channels inconsistently, employees may again be unsure where to look for the information they need. Then there's all the stuff that could happen if they fail to provide adequate channels. Firstly, some communications may simply not arrive with everybody who needs them. Once more, potentially leaving some employees working without all the information they require. Or, even if they receive the communication, some employees may not be able to refer back to it when they need to at some point in the future if they happen to be somewhere else, so they would also end up either having to ask someone else for help or muddle through without everything they need. Of course, inadequate channels may not mean they don't exist at all, but they may simply be unappealing to use, such as a badly organized SharePoint site or a team briefing process run by a line manager who's the dullest presenter in the world, which could mean some employees simply not giving them much attention and the communications they contain failing as a result, leaving some employees without all they need and meaning they have to be repeated, thus potentially consuming more budget, and in some cases perhaps leaving employees who were paying attention first time with less time to do their other work. And of course, it's not just about the dissemination of information. Inadequate channels may also inhibit feedback from employees in a couple of ways. Firstly, they may simply be unable to provide feedback as quickly as they'd like, which could leave some internal communication specialists or their clients, or maybe even the organization's leadership, working blind for a while. And this can lead in a couple of undesirable directions. Blind internal communication specialists, of course, could be using redundant or inadequate channels. And blind clients could leave some employees without all the resources they need to deliver the very outcomes for which those clients produce their communications. So some employees may become understandably cheesed off that they're having to meet unrealistic expectations and become disengaged, or more disengaged as a result. Or if, say, the resource they're lacking is adequate skills, they may end up getting things wrong and continue doing so for goodness only knows how long. Or some people may get unduly stressed, leading to potential burnout or disengagement. And inadequate skills, maybe an intranet connection that's grinding to a halt, for example, may mean it takes them longer than necessary to get the work done, which in turn could mean they don't have enough time to do all their work. And even if they can get their feedback to the right people when they want, inadequate channels could mean they don't always have access to the answers when they're given, again increasing the chances that they may be having to work without all the information they need, or they may even become effectively paralyzed, unable to do anything for a while and have less time to do it when they finally do get their answer. And it's not just about feeding back on information coming down from on high. Inadequate channels can mean employees may not be able to easily share or collaborate on valuable new ideas of their own. So opportunities to generate additional stakeholder value or identify and realize cost savings may be missed, which could directly impact on reputation and raison d'etre, or operating costs, or both. And seeing such opportunities go begging could lead some employees to become frustrated and disengaged. So this is my view of the risks inherent within having an unfit channel mix. Now for the flip side benefits of fulfilling the Code of Practice's recommendations. First of all, the channel managers should be providing only valuable channels, because if they do, they'll be more likely to be using the IC budget more efficiently. And they also stand a better chance of simplifying employee choices when looking for information, so those employees are more likely to know where to look for what they need and can work that bit more efficiently and have more time to do their work as a result. And they should also be less likely to have to ask other people where to look, so those colleagues are more likely to have that little bit more time to do their work. And they shouldn't need to guess at what they should be doing either, and instead be more likely to be working with all the information they need. And if the IC function promotes the channels effectively, and if they use the channels consistently, employees should again be more certain of where to look for the information they need. Then there's all the benefits that could be gained if they provide adequate channels. Firstly, communications would be more likely to arrive with everybody who needs them, so again increasing the chances of employees having all the information they require. It's also more likely employees would be able to refer back to a communication if they need to at some point in the future, wherever they happen to be at the time, so they would be that much less likely to have to ask anyone else and yet still be working with all the information they need. Of course, adequate channels means all communications can be appealing for everyone to use as well, increasing the chances of everybody giving adequate attention to all the communications they need and of those comms succeeding, further increasing the chances of having fully informed employees, reducing the likelihood of communications needing to be repeated, and further helping increase the chances of using the IC budget efficiently. And because people won't have to go through the same communication more than once, it should also increase the likelihood of employees having more time to do their work. And then there are the ways in which adequate channels can enable employee feedback. Firstly, any and every employee should be able to easily provide feedback on any communication they receive as quickly and easily as they like, which would help channel managers, their clients and the organization's leadership to have their fingers permanently on the pulse. And this would help channel managers to provide valuable channels, while their clients would be better able to quickly understand what resources their audiences need in order to deliver their outcomes and put those resources in place, which can surely only have a positive impact on employee engagement. And if employees have all the resources they need, they're surely more likely to get things right and be less likely to get unduly stressed, lowering the risks of potential burnout and better supporting engagement. And it's more likely to mean they could be able to complete their work more efficiently, which in turn could mean they're more likely to have enough time to do all their work. And with all the appropriate channels in place, when they provide feedback, they shall also always be able to access the answers when they're given, increasing the chances of them working with all the information they need, and being able to receive the answers as soon as they're provided should also help keep any paralysis to a minimum, giving employees more time to work with that answer. Providing adequate channels also means employees should be better able to easily share or collaborate on valuable new ideas of their own, so opportunities to generate additional stakeholder value or identify and realize cost savings are more likely to be realized, which could better support the organization's reputation and raison d'etre and/or its operating costs. And seeing such opportunities being realized may give yet another fillip to some employees' engagement levels. So how does this relate back to the code of practice? Well, there are 4 recommendations in the channel mix section, which are all the responsibility of the channel manager or managers, who inevitably have to provide adequate channels for everybody to use in a way which avoids this catalogue of initial risks, supports a similar number of initial benefits, and this is covered by recommendations 2, 3 and 4. They also need to be providing only useful channels to help make employees' lives simpler and manage costs, which is covered in recommendations 2 and 3, and also point 9 of recommendation 4. And to support the employees appropriately, they also need to promote the channels effectively, an issue which is covered in recommendation 4.8, and make sure IC specialists use the channels consistently, which is recommendation 4.7.